Welcome to the show, What Will Happen? This is the third episode of our show where we'll be discussing geopolitics, economics, and regional politics of different parts of the world. For me, Khurram Hussain, will be hosting the show with our analyst and expert, Mr. Jamil Ahmed Khan. Mr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me in such a critical time, and you keep having a very strategic topic. So I'm quite glad to be in your program.
Yeah. So for our viewers, today's topic will be pretty much surrounding around Kashmir. We know today, today is 5th, and it will complete 1 year of incarceration of 9 million Kashmiris in Indian occupied Kashmir. In human history, it has been unprecedented, and the silence of the international community on the atrocities committed during last 1 year in Kashmir and last 70, 80 years since independence has been, will be written in the history as senselessness of whole world. But we'll be discussing it this last 1 year since the annexation of Kashmir by India and illegal trying to legalize its illegal occupation of Kashmir. So, Mr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, what are your thoughts on the senselessness of international community and response of Pakistan, which is the biggest stakeholder in this conflict, about atrocities committed with Kashmiris and incarceration of 9 to 10 million people? Has India is using Israeli playbook from Gaza to incarcerate millions of people in a small space and commit atrocities day and night?
I would say yes, because they have been trying to practice that model, but they have gone much beyond that as well. But let me answer your question in two parts. Part number one should be the general description, and part number two should be international law and what are the UN resolutions and what India has done and so on. Right. Now, that is too technical a part, but let me start with the non-technical part of the discussion. The non-technical part is, what impact is it going to bring on Indian population, those innocent poor people of India? And what impact is it going to bring on Pakistan or the entire world? Now, both the countries are nuclear, as we all know, the entire world knows about it. This right-wing politics, which Modi started this time in particular, much beyond that aggressiveness, what he had shown in Gujarat, and the way Gujarat massacre had taken place, where Mr. Modi was even restricted, and there was a ban on him in entering into the United States. And there were so many other countries, they had imposed a ban on his entry. So there must be a reason, Pakistan would say anything, probably the Indian population would feel that there could be a prejudice idea. Today, I will just try and just give a very non-prejudice idea, non-prejudice comments, as a matter of fact. So the world had already seen at that time that Modi is doing a kind of a politics which based on radicalism. And that radicalism is like a Nazism. And that Nazism, he has started doing it through RSS mindset. And the government first time, whether that mindset is going to help a common people in India or not, my answer is not. They have already witnessing the downturn of the global, the downturn of their economy. They have not because of the COVID, because now Modi administration can blame for COVID. But if you see the figures before COVID, it was really declining. It was dwindling like anything. So from that angle, a common poor person of India would have the brunt of it, of this kind of politics which Modi. Now, is it going to flare up further? I would say that in world community is quite concerned about it. But the counter question arises that why are they not intervening? Once India, Modi administration in particular, has first time given so much of concession to the foreign troops and the foreign countries like United States, that they could even operate freely on their Gujarat naval base. And also, if we examine all the deals which Modi administration has done, there were some deals before also, but particularly Modi administration. You'll find out that this is going to marginalize Indian common people, and Modi has already taken the nation to a stage where they will start witnessing some more uprising from other states of India. And India, you'll find about 20 years down the line, India, you'll find disintegrated. It's not my analysis, it's the analysis of so many people around the world.
So
If
right
the
now,
Modi,
in the current scenario of Kashmir, we don't see any reaction from the people of India in support of Kashmir. It seems that majority of India, which happens to be Hindu majority, which exercise and makes and breaks the government in India, they seem at least concerned about 365 days in imprisonment of more than 9 million people in the part of their own
uh,
country. And there is a murder, rapes, and the stories have been shut down. There have been no internet for 1 year, almost anywhere in India, in Kashmir. So they have done to do everything, all the atrocities which you can think of. They have designed it, planned it, and they are committing it every day in Kashmir right now as we speak. And 365 days of such thing is like such atrocities. It's unheard of even in human history, maybe in the age of pharaohs. But
that,
people of India are not rising against it, and not only the people of majority India, but people of minority India are also quite. Which, if you're not in Kashmir, it seems they are not concerned. So, and the sentiment analysis on the internet shows that there's no concern in the people of India in general, or any minority group in particular outside Kashmir, about the condition of Kashmiris and atrocities committed against them. So they seem to be unconcerned. Why is that?
right you are. But the question arises that the followers of Modi or the members of RSS, are they only the population of India? I would say the majority are having a different mindset. But the question
Well, the
is, why
majority,
are they not
Modi has a
reacting?
two-third majority has a Modi has a two-third majority.
Two-third
Let me point to
majority,
one fact.
but
What is right
what
now? Right now, there is no constitutional opposition existing in India, because to become opposition, you need certain number of seats in Indian Parliament, and Congress or any other party could not achieve that number of seats. So BJP has such a high majority that there is constitutionally opposition cannot exist. So there's no opposition leader, or there's no opposition seat in the parliament. So they have absolute majority, which has been given to them by the people of India, if there's a free and fair election, which the world says they were.
right? The two-third of majority, that was the most dangerous thing. And obviously, it's a democracy, and people had the right to elect their own members. The way they were before the election, the way they were given all the hopes of the economic prosperity and the Gujarat model, where the industrialization and whether the boom in economy Modi had brought, people were expecting from all strata of the society that Modi is going to bring the same kind of a prosperity in India, which now they have started witnessing differently, right? So from that angle, yes, at the time of election, the voters, they have given the votes, and it's a democratic country. We have to respect the voters' sentiments and the two-third majority. I'm giving my analysis that now, after so many years of election, what is the state of affair there? And the very pinch of the economic disaster which is happening in India, that is being felt by the general population. Number one. Number two, India thought that they would take the entire world along. Yes, in a way they are, but because they have really offered so many economic concessions and economic collaboration they have made with the big world power. And then the most important thing is US. US is supporting India. And why US is supporting? US is not supporting India because US really have a love lost for the Indian general population. Basically, they are supporting them because they want India to be standing against China. And that is another mistake which Indian population and Indian the government is going to do subsequently. So the India obviously cannot stand in front of China. You saw what happened in Ladakh, and there is no comparison. But India now has reached to that stage from where he cannot retract, and he has to. India it has to basically stand against China. They have started closing their options. So that's why I was just saying that the general population now, if there would be a free and fair election, as you rightly pointed out, in that case you'll find the different results. But it's if we take a complete demography, besides voters, the total number of votes cast, and the people who did not, and the people who were neutral. Now if the election is conducted, there would be a lot of them. Now I'm monitoring the intellectual the comments and the analysis in India. And one of the professors, I was just monitoring it, Mr. Mehta, and he pointed out that abrogation of Article 370 and it is too dangerous a trend. It's weakening all the independent institutions in India and marginalizing Indian Muslims. And now Indian Muslims, they were as good a citizen of India as any other citizen. They were well integrated. They were living peacefully.
They were. Yeah, they were.
They were. That's what I said. They were living peacefully. They were contributing in their economy and
well,
their development.
if you look at the history from 1969 riots, 54 riots, 47 was a riot, anyways. Then 83. Then we had a riot just this year, right, in Delhi. So, and their socioeconomic status since independence, the report published in the government of last Congress government, which shows they are not economically independent. Right. They are not. They have been riots. They have been suppressed. Right now, they are being lynched left and right wherever they want to. There is lynching videos.
After CAA Act. The Citizens Act promulgation, obviously they would, quite a majority of them would be declared as a second-class citizen, or perhaps their citizenship would be stripped off. That's an again demonstration of the human rights violation and also discrimination. Now,
so basically, they are giving the legal cover to what they were already doing in practice in the society since the inception of India.
And that is what is a flashpoint, and that is what a flashpoint. That means if you press any community, and that community is not a small community, it's over 200 million people in India. If they press them against the wall, what are they going to witness? They are going to witness a tremendous amount of resistance.
I have a personal experience because I have friends from India, all Muslims and all the religions. But some Muslim friends, they don't discuss politics with me about what's going on in India because they said they can be spied on, and they're afraid to discuss any political situation within India or Kashmir. And that is the degree of suppression of speech in India. Freedom of speech in India is gone practically. The only television media which we see from India is either very irrationally Indian and extremist Hindutva ideology like Arnab Goswami and clan like that, and the people who are very minute in they're not so open about criticizing the policies of the government. So freedom of speech is definitely not under attack. It has been eliminated to a large degree in India right now. We don't hear Muslims coming out. So do you think this freedom of speech, there will be some resistance from the people to take the right back for this freedom of speech, or it will continue like that in the name of nationalism
It's
and religious extremism.
it's not going to stop only to Muslims or Christians or the minorities there. Now they've already started imposing those wicked kind of strategies and the tactics among the people, anyone who speaks for that matter,
Mhm.
whether it's Hindu, Christian, or Buddhist, or anyone who speaks. So you are very right, and that is the first sign of any democracy uh, to start having the negative impact of the population rate. So from that point of view, those were the indicators. I had started saying that if you press against the wall, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, and of course freedom of association. These are the three ingredients Indians were proud of. Now Indians as a whole, Muslim, of course, they are the maximum sufferer because they are over 200 million population. But if you ask their very scholarly people in India, they will come up with the same. Media is so much under pressure that they cannot speak a word against Indian government. So we talk about China and we talk about other countries about their authoritarian. Now India is not only doing that authoritarianism through their institution and is spoiling them, including their courts. They are taking the favorable decision from the court by marginalizing by harassing the judges too. These are the reports which are emerging. So most of the institutions are now that's why the Professor Mehta has already pointed out in his paper that what is happening in India, it is detrimental for the India by itself. Now let me quickly touch upon that what Modi is doing. Modi is harming his own party in a way. Yes, he has a very stringent and a very dedicated followers whom he has radicalized. So that radicalized followers would
I
never
don't think so.
be.
He is radicalized. I would differ with that statement. He's a product of
Yeah.
radicalization himself. He's a product of uh, a terrorist organization called Rashtriya Sevak Sangh (RSS), which
Mhm.
was in 1940s and 30s was aligned with neo-Nazis groups. Their leader had a
Mhm.
meeting with Hitler himself, the devil himself, and they assured them their alliance and support in exchange of support for freedom struggle in India. And their ideology was Hindutva from that time. And it's on record that they spring from neo-Nazi ideology. So I
Absolutely.
don't think so. He's radicalized. He's a product of radicalization. The radicalization already existed in Indian society and people. That radicalization, extremism was already there.
So he has gathered their energies now. Why didn't it happen in last 70 years with this intensity, the way you are seeing it now? Why it has happened now? So my point is that basically that problem is happening here, and he is further adding fuel to the fire. You are right because if you see even the manifesto of the RSS, you'll find that there are so many ingredients common from the Nazism time. So they had taken the strength from there. But let me quickly touch upon that point by concluding that this is harming its own nation subsequently. But you are right, a person who's from the age of 13 to 14 years was in RSS. So obviously you will have that mindset, and now he has been able to. You see, a political party having a military wing with it. Now RSS, they give military training to their people from age 15 to 35 years. And every year they have a summer camp. And those young people, what are they taught and what are they, how they are indoctrinated. No
Brainwashed,
other
yes.
party, no other party is doing that with their followers and their people who follow them. So therefore, you are right. So in other words, the BJP is a political wing with its military wing as an RSS. It's what they are doing in Kashmir. And today you have just touched upon a very significant point of Kashmir. I'll quickly describe to you what is happening, the atrocities Even if I don't say anything, and I refer you to reports from the Human Rights Commissioner, and the last report which was issued last year in 2019, and you'll see the next report also very soon. That report was presented by no less than the Commissioner of Human Rights Commission of United Nations, and with his tears falling down, right? And he had mentioned that how many women have been raped from the age, female from the age 7 to 75 and 80 years. How many people have been killed and the way people have been lynched. What to talk of Human Rights Commission, their own people's, NGO that wrote a report, and it said that there was a mass grave, but that's in past, not now, in last 35 days. So there was a mass grave in Kashmir. There were about more than 3,000 people buried once. Now, once this
and that happened during the last year. That happened during the last 365 days.
Yes, and then you will see that once the curfew is lifted, you will find out in the next report of the United Nations Human Rights Commission, you will see what other atrocities. You have yourself said that 365 days, it's a prison. You know, it's an open prison, which where you don't have any constitutional right of anyone there. So in that
even the
case,
right to get out of the home, you are being shot with your kids, like we saw in a picture. We just saw a picture of grandfather killed with his
grandfather killed in front of the
the world, CNN, BBC, this all paid media with the agenda. Without, they didn't even show those picture. Otherwise, if it would have been Israel, they will be showing it everywhere, every single television channel. But this is a lie and the fallacy of international media, namely CNN, BBC, Fox, and all this media channels which are controlling a lot of big parts of the world.
I think the world keeps claiming about human rights and the conscious, but actually once it comes to the governmental level, people at large around the world, they are quite conscious and they do feel that way. But the authorities who manage so much of media and other communication channels, they influence the thing because of their own economic and strategic interests. So there are U.S. and its allies. They have the strategic.
There's no free press in U.S.
Now,
as well. Is that what you're implying?
I would say that it's very hard to challenge that. But practically, if you evaluate that all the news in its true form is not really carried, and there is some management of the news, I would say that. And
so the Trump is right in calling it fake news, fake media.
Editorial. Well, he's calling it for his own purpose, not actually. But then media, they go by their editorial board. But I must say that their editorial board, except for some strategic things which they don't really touch upon the interest of U.S. as a whole, but normally by far the reporting is quite well recognized.
Okay, so coming back to the Kashmiri issue, the atrocities, everything is we know this current situation, state of affair, and the silence, the silence and senselessness from the international community and the people of India by and large themselves, because they have not come out in favor of the Kashmiris. So what's next? Of course, the next is Kashmiris looks towards Pakistan for their rights, freedom, and safety of their children, of their wealth, their land. But what's next? Has Pakistan? What are the Pakistan responsibilities in this scenario? ISPR just issued a song, and it's shameful that they issued a song for that for a conflict. Or I heard that cabinet has issued a map. Are there practical steps
No, it's shameful for India, I would say, that the way they are conducting Kashmir's matter against international law, which I was mentioning, the map which has been issued, that is absolutely, I would say, a political map. And that doesn't say, the map which Pakistan has issued, nowhere it has indicated that it is in violation of the Security Council resolution. Security Council resolution, if accepted by India today, Pakistan would be more than happy to amend the map the way people of Kashmir, they decide about their fate according to
So
plebiscite what has been
what is different
enunciated.
with what is the difference between the recent map issued by the cabinet of Imran Khan uh,
It,
and
it,
what was before? We have seen the maps already, which
okay,
where Kashmir is part of
I,
Pakistan.
my second part was international law. If unless I describe some part of it, and I'll try to make it very simple for your viewers, that
Mhm.
international law, basically there are 17 Security Council resolutions already passed, and India has not implemented any. Okay,
Mhm.
why it has not implemented? Now the world should have pressed it. They have not done it because of lobbying and because of certain interest and cross-cutting interest. Right? And this, people at large, Kashmiris, are suffering and they are dying and they are being lynched and they are just having all those atrocities which you cannot even imagine. I cited you to a report of the Commission of Human Rights and the Commissioner. So coming back now, second is there is a Geneva Convention 20 and 49, which says that you cannot change the demography, you cannot change the status of a disputed territory. And in the Security Council resolution also, it's a disputed territory, the status cannot be changed. So from that point of view, it was a violation of Article 370 that it was abrogated, violation of it was violation of UN Charter and the Geneva Convention of 49 and 20 that they promulgated and they abrogated Article 35A of it. So that once that happened, you saw that Ladakh matter would not have happened if Indians had not taken a step further and included Ladakh area in the 370 and attached it as a union territory. So in China, why India did not go to the Security Council? Because India knew that they are at a weaker wicket now because of the Security Council resolution, the way they have abrogated Article 370. Article 370, if you examine Indian own constitution, it's against that. Indian own constitution says that the Kashmir assembly has to pass a resolution. Kashmir assembly was already dissolved and they did it through a governor's ordinance. So that is the violation of Indian constitution as well as it's a violation of the international law Security Council resolution.
So, but
Now
we know
question.
all the laws and all that is broken on the paper, but nobody's enforcing it, and India is having pretty much what it wants to do, and there seems to be no end to it. So the end to this conflict doesn't seem to be some peaceful resolution. So do you think Pakistan issuing a map, does it mean an indication that Pakistan official policy that this is our map, we'll defend our territory, Kashmir is our part? Would you see any practical action from Pakistan on the ground, or it will remain in the air for next 70 years?
Well, practical action would depend what way Modi administration is going to behave. The Prime Minister of Pakistan in a General Assembly has very clearly said that if you have so much of atrocities, if you confine people for so many days, including, he said that including I could take a gun and fight. So Kashmiris definitely fighting it. What Pakistan can do it, or this General Assembly resolution 2649 for your viewer. You know, again, I was trying to avoid technical things, but that very clearly indicates that any nation, any part of the world where the people, they are fighting for the self-determination, the people fighting for this rights, for rights of self-determination, they are to be supported from all whatever way possible. And in the debate of this resolution, they said even those people, Kashmiri people, can do their armed struggle and they should be held by the world community. So under that very resolution, Pakistan can help it the way Pakistan wanted. Pakistan was holding his hand because the international community is not mentally prepared. But if by any chance Modi administration may make another mistake like Pulwama, this time it's going to be a big bang from Pakistan. Why? Why I'm saying so? The Chief of the Army Staff statement is very clear that Kashmir is our soul, right? And Kashmir people, we are standing with them. And he has referred, the Chief of the Army of Pakistan, unlike Indian chiefs, he has referred it that we are going according to the Security Council resolution and will.
So what I hear from your statement that Pakistan is within the within its right according to international laws and Pakistani laws to support and send military support overt and covert in Kashmir.
Military part, Pakistan has to really take the world community into confidence, and the Security Council has to pass a resolution.
Right now, world community is not ready to hear. Right now, world community is not ready to hear, and they'll let India go with a million.
Nature takes its own course. Quorum, nature takes its own course. What they say, कि जुल्मो तादी जबरों से तम शाही आकाई कितने दिन और जो अपनी जड़ छोड़ चुकी गिरना है उन दीवारों को. You'll see and mark my word, if the same atrocities going on, things are going to bust, and the world community would be in a right to support in whatever manner they is possible under that resolution which I have just mentioned. And at that time you'll see, and if India does that adventure and false flag operation, Pakistan military would have the right under the UN Charter to repulse it back and go into the territory of India, right? But that means which Prime Minister of Pakistan not once, so many times has pointed out, that means that the two nuclear powers are standing eyeball to eyeball, and there is a danger of the flashpoint of nuclear. So if India does that, Pakistan, no one knows how, what way the entire war is going to shape up.
So there's no clear path again for the people of Kashmir who are being suppressed, killed, murdered, raped, and disconnected from the world for their freedom or anytime soon after 70 years of atrocities and 365 days of brutal atrocities.
Unfortunately, they have suffered a lot, but now it's the whole generation has stood up against the atrocities. And I think the day they are going to lift the curfew, that's why they are not doing it. That's why 365 days they have not done it. The day they do it, you'll find either a genocide or you'll find the Kashmiris, even after the genocide, the Kashmiris are going to really retaliate. And of course,
Pakistan
and other countries.
Shouldn't Pakistan support Kashmiri militants openly and shift its policy from political support to open military support?
Pakistan or any country of the world would be in their legal right to help them in whatever manner possible under the resolution which I just mentioned to you. And at that time,
so why does the resolution apply to the countries like Pakistan and Syria and Iraq and why those resolution does not apply to India, US, Israel, and the West?
That's what the world politics says. In the world politics, the bigger powers, they have their own network and they see their own interest, and they obviously you cannot apply it to US has been flouting the Security Council resolution and had gone under the NATO pretext, gone to Iraq, gone to Afghanistan.
I think this resolution, and they have US, Israel, West, UK, France, all those countries, even Russia, has flouted those international resolution and conventions and Geneva Convention so much that the elites of the global politics understand that these are piece of paper which the people don't believe in. That's why they are calling a global reset. That will be the topic in our next show. But we know that this world is coming to a point where global reset has been called by the same people who maintain this status quo of new colonial era of last 70 years. At least since 1946, since Bretton Woods Agreement, where US emerged as the world leader. So with that, I would like to have final thoughts and comments from you on Kashmir, for the people of Kashmir and Pakistan Army and Pakistan government of Pakistan, a message that what they should be doing.
Well, the message is very clear that the resistance, what they are making, they can augment it and they can take it to the highest level. Number one. Number two, Pakistan would help them out in all the manners which is manifested in the resolution which I pointed it out. Pakistan is going, even if if, as I said, India does the adventure, Pakistan can even get into it. And then at that time, you will see Indian army, which is causing so much of atrocity, being sandwiched. They'll be beaten by their own population, then they'll be beaten by the military from this side else also. And there are all the preparation already made, and it has been already very clearly announced by our Chief of the Army Staff and the Prime Minister. So there shouldn't be any doubt about this very aspect of it. And Kashmiris should note it down this point that maximum 5 years more, maximum I'm saying, their independence is definitely written in their fate. So they should not really lose their heart.
So we are making a prediction on our show because that's our show is about, to see in the future as far as we can. So here's a prediction from our
not
analyst.
only independent, I meant from independence that plebiscite, and of course they can exercise the right of their.
So overall, is the prediction from our show is India will be out of Kashmir in next 5 years. But wouldn't that mean that with the inshallah that if Kashmir is free and independent in the next 5 years, that wouldn't that mean India would look at it as a disintegration of its colonial power, in like in Assam there's a resistance, there's a Naxalites, Nagaland there's a resistance, Karnataka you cannot say there's a resistance, but the people in the south don't integrate themselves with the north as much as we think. So
I would say they are playing with the fire, and it's going to happen sooner or later. The way they are dealing with it. If Modi administration and this style goes on, the time is not that far.
Okay.
For the disintegration.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, and thanks for all our viewers globally for watching. Like and subscribe us if you want. If you don't want, don't do it. And thanks for your time. And we'll see you next week with our show on Global Reset. Don't miss that. No matter where you live on this planet, that Global Reset concerns you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.